Welcome to North Star Physical Therapy Podcast. I'm Dr. Shirley North, and with over a decade of clinical expertise in the areas of pelvic floor conditions, lymphatic conditions, and chronic neurological diseases, I have a wealth of medical knowledge that I want to share with you all. In this podcast, I will answer the most common questions I receive from clients, family members, and fellow clinicians. Our purpose is not only to answer questions, but to educate you so you can make the best decision for your optimal health. This podcast is perfect to listen on your way home from work, while you're on your daily walk, or just taking 15 to 20 minutes for yourself. Again, welcome to North Star Physical Therapy Podcast, and get ready for us to guide you to optimal health. Returning folks to North Star Physical Therapy Podcast, and welcome to those who are new. We are celebrating this episode by the new year, right? So it is now January 2026. Can you believe it, everybody? I cannot believe how fast the 25 went. In some regards, I'm glad that it is now in the past. Living in the DC metro, Northern Virginia area, and there's been a lot of changes and things that have occurred for the community at large here. And then we think of all the advancements that occurred over 2025 and within healthcare with Dr. Rachel Rubin and Dr. Kelly Casperson and their colleagues of helping to get rid of that black box warning label off of vaginal estrogen, the new non-hormonal medication for low libido with those that are female, which is lovely. So a lot of good things coming on with hormonal health over this last year, and I think that's just the start. And so I'm super excited as a pelvic floor physical therapist and as a lymphedema or lymphatic physical therapist. All good things, right? All good things are hopefully moving forward within the research field and helping really shape this podcast, because I always at the end of a year, you always kind of reflect and go through, and feel free to listen to my previous podcast talking about that, like the year in review, kind of some reflections of 2025. But then you try to look forward, right? You want to, not necessarily New Year's resolutions if that's not your thing, but what is goals, right? What are the objectives, or what are your goals for this upcoming year? Now, they're just goals. It's just a guideline. It's just something to look forward to. I think if we're just in this abyss of nothing, right, of like, what am I going to try to do this year, or try not to do, I think we always have to be learning about ourselves, about our body, about our mental health and emotional health, learning about relationships, and just being able to reflect on that, try to set something, for us for the future to work towards but then not beating ourselves up if we don't 100% achieve it, or if we maybe did an intermediary step. So maybe it's not 100% achieved, but man, I really am much better off where I am now than where I was this time last year. Things like that I think is really helpful. I think sometimes we are in the speed of go, go, go. There's so much technology. There's AI, ChatGPT, there's all these things that are making things so much more convenient and speeding all these things up. But sometimes we just need to slow down. Sometimes we just need to take that moment to reflect, and that could be quick moments. That's why I mean, have these podcasts of 15, 20 minutes. That could be just a car ride. That could be, a daily walk with your dog or your kids, or that could just be a moment at your lunch break, at work or something like that, just to be like, what? I am doing okay. It might be like the world crashing down around me, but how am I doing? And so I often try to think of a word of the year, right? What is my kind of guidance word? Last year for 2025 for me was community. I established North Star Physical Therapy 3 years ago, And it was really kind of getting back into the community, really reaching out to this Northern Virginia area, became involved in the local business association, doing more of these podcasts. What are my ways to reach out to the community and then to create a community, maybe a community of providers and other allied healthcare professionals? So our community is just growing and trying to really flourish, so that when I have a client that maybe needs the expertise of one of my colleagues, I can be like, hey, let's bring this person a part of your village, a part of your healthcare village, because we have a really great relationship. And so I was really trying to foster those relationships, and I'm going to continue to do that, but making a lot of good strides last year was really, really helpful for a lot of my clients. It was really cool to see and to witness and to help foster that. So we're going to continue building that community and fostering that and really growing our community here at North Star Physical Therapy. Looking at things not only as a business, but also as a clinician, as a mom, as a wife, as a woman here in the Northern Virginia area, as a gym, participant at my local fitness gym, and all my little roles, I'm like, you know what? I really just, I've learned a lot of things. Again, either being a mom to a teenager and a preteen, being a new homeowner as well. That was a big thing that happened with my family. Also, being a business owner and, being a good friend and all that kind of like personal relationship stuff, but also business relationship things. And then also as a clinician, I went to a lot of great continuing education courses. So when you go to these courses, it could be a weekend, it could be a longer weekend, it could be a week. I mean, it just depends on what it is, on what kind of certification and thing you're going for. But you learn all these really great evidence-based either statistics, or treatment ideas. Some of it could be hands-on, some of it could be just that theoretical thing and how we apply that to each client. So that way you can always have a good takeaway to come back to the clinic, and on Monday morning you can, if it's appropriate for that client, you can get right into that, bringing that new education right into there. And that's always something that we love to do as clinicians. And for those clinicians listening, if you don't do that, then maybe you need to reevaluate what you're doing. You should always want to learn and share. But I was really thinking about 2025 in that regard, and I kept coming back to one word, and it was refinement. I want to refine the things that I established, not only, in my personal relationships and everything, just refine it a little bit more. But then also within my clinical practice here at North Star Physical Therapy, I want to refine all of these continuing education points of, okay, how do I really deliver that to a client? Is it making a handout for them? Is it looking at my current clinical programs and updating them with the current knowledge that I had, which I did do. So I'm very excited to be offering new and improved clinical programs with pregnancy, postpartum, pelvic pain, before or after pelvic surgeries, lymphedema. Feel free to check out my website. You'll see a whole host, of the clinical programs that I have definitely ramped up and beefed up a little bit with the newer research. But also just refining, my relationship with my front desk staff and how we can refine processes so things are nice and smooth for us as a clinic with clinician as well as for our clients. Are there any feedback and takeaways and constructive criticism that we've heard or that we've kind of discovered that are less efficient? How can we refine those processes? Work smarter, not harder, kind of thing. So I think the year 2026 for us here at North Star Physical Therapy, and for me personally, will be a lot of refinement. It's also a really big birth year for me. I turned the big 4-0 next year. So I think it just is a really natural process to kind of go through when you're stepping into the next decade of life, of really that self-reflection and really seeing what can I do now? What can I refine now? What can I get rid of? What's taking too much time and energy and money? Or just emotional capability that doesn't really need to be, and I think refinement is really, really needed every once in a while. And for us here at North Star, will be 2026 is the big year of refinement. And I'm a part of a business mentorship group. Shout out to Jesse and Nicole Cozine for developing Pelvic PT Rising membership and mentorship. It has been a world of difference for all of us that have been taking part of that to really help grow our individual businesses through your guidance. And so what I love that they do is right around the end of the year and the beginning of the next calendar year, they have this amazing kind of planning handout and exercise. There are kind of 6 main aspects of kind of setting goals and objectives in your life. And so I like to just point out a few, and I want you to do the same. I think it's really healthy to kind of go through some of these things, and some of a goal can be in multiple categories. And whenever you're writing a goal for yourself, as therapists, you write goals all the time. Okay? When we write goals for our clients all the time, and one thing I learned in PT school, if you can't write a goal about yourself, you can't write a goal for somebody else. And I think that's really huge. And a goal should be simple. It does not need to be super complex. So be simple and achievable and objective. So you can't just be like, I'll do better at this. Well, what is this? And what does better really mean? Right? So put some numbers to it. But then don't beat yourself up if you don't quite hit that number. But also celebrate when you get that number and maybe exceed it. It's amazing. And I need to practice what I preach for that last one, because I definitely need to do better and celebrating my wins. But with the word of refinement, I'm going to be going through these 6 categories of what are some categories within our lives that we can write goals about that are really, really helpful. And so I did this last year for 2025, and I literally have the piece of paper like right next to me for those that are looking at seeing the video on YouTube. And I wrote down like 3 to 5 goals in each section. Some of them can kind of flirt with other sections and other themes. But looking back on this, I'm like, damn, I did a lot last year. When I feel the feels that I'm not doing enough, I look back and things, and it's like, damn, I did do a lot. I need to really celebrate that win. And I really need to like celebrate that, maybe like a day off a month or something. Like, what is my next goal? Or you know what? I didn't quite meet that one. Let's leave it there. And now that I know that I'm leaving it there, that might be one of my priorities then. Because like clearly I didn't get it done this year. So maybe I really need to get it done, this year. So one of the topics is wellness. Right? So that can be referring to your physical health, your mental health, your emotional, health, as well. So just overall wellness, like going to the gym a couple times a week, potentially hooking in with a mental health provider if you think that's appropriate for you. Is there any kind of physical symptom that you may have, especially in pelvic health and lymphatic health? Call me up. That we can resolve those symptoms for you, or like just nagging things like, I really need to get this, get this taken care of so I can progress, in a wellness program. Things like that. Business is the next section. Well, geez, I could like rattle off a ton, goals here. But whether or not that's you have your own business or you work within a business, what are some business goals? Maybe it's colleague to colleague stuff. Maybe it's from clinical staff to admin staff. Maybe it's with HR. Whatever, right? So like within your business, whether that's your own or somebody else's that you work for, I'm sure there are some goals that you can like improve your performance or how you are within your colleague, relationships. Financial. So financial goals, right? Like if you want to have more in your savings, if you want to be able to save up an X amount for vacations, if you want to be able to, like for me, it's like some like business, expenses I want to be able to achieve, so I can buy better, more equipment or, things like that. So financial goals, I think that's really healthy to do that, even though we don't want to be all about money. It is very helpful to be solid and confident in your money goals as well. Again, whether that's business or personal. And for those like myself, who's a solo clinician and business owner, it's kind of one and the same. Whenever I bring in my business, it helps our personal life as well. Fun is the next section. So what are some things, and for this is a really hard section for me to write, and you would think it wouldn't be, but for me, it's really hard to kind of separate that and like what is like the me time, right? The fun time. What are some things that I like to do to like celebrate a win? When I say celebrate a win, what does that mean, right? What kind of fun thing can I do? Is that, hanging out with some friends? Is that going to like a painting class? Is that, taking 2 vacations a year? Things like that. Like, what are some fun things, that you can do and incorporate? And for me as a business owner, it's like, how am I going to celebrate my wins? The next section is relationships. So this could be personal or business. This could be, immediate family or extended family. It could be friends. So interesting, interesting section to be working on. But I think sometimes, especially as business owners, we get so into the business that sometimes we miss out on this personal time. So that's why it's interesting how fun and relationships. And the next section is personal growth are part of business goals. It's like, we didn't start a business to be enveloped by it. Most of us started a business because we were sick of working for somebody else, or we weren't able to have this personal time because we were stuck and working for somebody else around the clock and on our spare time and bringing documentation home and doing extra things and all that stuff. And like, or we weren't able to have like time off that we really need, mental health wise. So for example, this past year, I had at least 4 or 5 weeks that I only had clinical days. I only had 3 clinical days out of the 5, because I had a continuing education course. I went on a birthday trip with my husband, and it was Thanksgiving, then it was Christmas, and then it was New Year's. So those are 5 weeks that I had 3 clinical days. And so I was like, you know what? I deserve to have the time off. I've been working my butt off, and it is okay because a lot of people also are having family time during that time of year. So let's all celebrate that, and it's okay. So those are the 6 sections: wellness, business, financial, fun, relationships, and personal growth. I'm again giving mad kudos and credit to Jesse and Nicole Cozine for their Pelvic PT Rising group and mentorship there. And this was just an example of you being able to kind of set and plan your own goals. I think this was a really interesting sections to be included that I never really saw before, and really, really helpful. And so any pelvic health clinician out there, someone who's thinking about starting a business or who has one that wants to refine it, please look them up. I think I'm just a massive follower of the Cozines. They've been amazing in helping me. But that is what I'm going to be doing myself. I'm going to be taking that little handout, and as a little exercise here in the first, month or so of 2026, taking the time, thinking of my word of the year of refinement, and setting goals within those 6 sections, and looking at those goals of what I had last year. Did I achieve them? Am I still working on it? Or I'm like, oh God, I haven't even looked at that yet. Right? And so refining those goals, editing those goals, and refining things for my wellness, things for my business, things within my finances, things to have fun with, my relationships, and for my own personal growth. And I think if all those things are trending in the positive direction, it's going to help lifelong. I mean, me going into my 4th decade, this year, I need to keep lasting, right? Like retirement is still years away. And I need to make sure I'm healthy physically, mentally, and emotionally, not only for my clients, not only for my kids and my husband, but also for myself. And that's not being selfish in saying that. That is really refining and being confident and solid with that. Now, a lot easier said than done, so I totally understand that. But I really challenge everybody to reflect a little bit. I know there's our last podcast was a lot about reflection. This one's a little bit of a reflection, and I promise you the next one will be a different topic. But this is just a really great time of year. We're flipping the new page, a new year. Yes, new year, new you. But a new year, a new chance to refine things for yourself moving forward. So I really challenge everybody to pick even just one thing. What is one thing that has been bugging me or that I'm started, but I need to really self-reflect, edit, and refine so it can be a positive experience or a positive goal, and I can really achieve it by this time, next year. So I wish everybody good luck with that, and you got this. It's really not hard to do. It's just we need to carve out the time to do that. If we've been able to carve out the time to do other, silly things, or be able to run to a store or plan a trip or whatever, if we're able to do these other things, we can do this. 10, 15 minutes does not take that much time out of our day. If you can listen to this podcast, you can definitely do it. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate everybody who's been following me here at North Star Physical Therapy Podcast. And let's make 2026 refined. All right. Until next time.
Thank you all so much for listening to North Star Physical Therapy Podcast. Continue to follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Dr. Shirley North. Check out my website at www.northstardpt.com, or I encourage you to email me any other questions about these topics, and it can be featured at a future podcast at snorth@northstardpt.com. Again, thank you all so much, and thank you for letting North Star Physical Therapy be your guiding light to your optimal health.